It's the first day of spring, and you know what that means. It's ARMS season. What's up, everybody? It's Zach from Switchforce. I've got Jake and Gabe here alongside me, and this morning Nintendo punched out 2 new trailers for their upcoming Switch title ARMS, which is hitting this season. We don't know exactly when, but sometime officially after today, since today's the first day of spring. And they released a character trailer and a weapons trailer highlighting and showcasing the fighters and their fun tools. Now, we'll get into each of those specifically, but first off, overall thoughts on this new footage and on the fact that we are in ARMS season.
You were just hitting so many puns. You said hitting, you said spring. You just had like 20 puns in one
Even spring. Spring is a double pun because of Spring Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
so bravo on that. I'm surprised as heck that we don't have a date. Like, spring, it's a pretty narrow window. It's it's from now into the next 4 months. Like, how do we not know when this is coming? Which is interesting. I mean, Nintendo has to keep their options open, I suppose. The game has to be done or close to it because it's coming so soon. It's just weird for a game to be on the horizon, like, in such a short term and us still not know the exact date.
Yeah, I mean, to speak on that for a moment, to me, June is summer, and they didn't release it in March. I don't think they're going to release it in March. So that basically leaves April and May, and April seems to be the Mario Kart month. So I would put my marbles in the May basket. I think it has to be that month.
Yeah. I mean, you would assume so, but then why are they doing the Splatoon test fire like so soon? So much weird stuff, but that's not what we're here to talk about.
We're here to talk about Springman, Ribbon Girl, Jarrah, Master Mummy, and Mechanika. All 5 characters were further detailed today, and I really like some of the depth that they've revealed. Now, we didn't know a lot of this stuff previously, but it's interesting to see it sort of highlighted in an official and announced or enunciated or whatever the heck that word is fashion by a very low-key fighting announcer.
I was quite underwhelmed by the announcer's monotone voice in describing these epic warriors.
Yeah, I think he needs a little more hype because this game deserves it. It's looking really cool and shaping up to be another stellar Switch jam. Springman, though, let's start with him. He's the balanced all-around character, and they showed how his dash leaves a shockwave to repel attacks. And in this character trailer, it was a short one, but they got into some of the more granular differences between the characters, and they're still focusing on the 5 that we've seen thus far, but I do hope there's more waiting in the wings, and I'm sure there are. But Springman, he dashes to leave a shockwave that repels attacks, and at low health, when he's below 25% of his HP, he has unlimited charge attacks, which is an interesting little tweak and kind of gives him even more of his own unique flair.
I just want to say that, like, I love that each one of these characters has their own, like, little abilities, whether they be passive, like the one you just mentioned there with the once the health goes down below 25%, or not passive. I mean, we'll touch on some of those again in a little bit, and also just being able to deflect, like you said here. Like, I like that each one of the characters has almost like its own like unique playstyle to an extent.
Yeah, and there are some similarities, and I think as more of the roster is revealed, we'll see sort of classes or weight levels or whatever you want to call it, kind of establishing themselves, and we'll get to that when we talk about the heavies. Ribbon Girl comes in as a floaty feather-like character, so she's probably going to be very light in terms of her ability to take hits, but she can jump repeatedly in midair to avoid attacks and also to attack from unique angles, to punch from different spots. I think is really cool. And probably most importantly, she has a quick drop, so she is able to fall from the sky very speedily and then get a little jab in there, which I think is a great move, and they showed it in the footage of her dropping on Master Mummy and then getting in close for some damage. I really liked playing as Ribbon Girl.
And here's the other thing. I wish that I knew all these like little like intricate details about the character specifically when we played, because when we played, I just picked Master Mummy because I thought he'd like look cooler, and I figured, yeah, he's like bulkier, so he'll be slower, but he'll have more health. I thought that was going to be like the extent of the trade-off, but there is much more to it.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, and then to couple it with the weapons, which they really detailed, is even more interesting. But let's move along to the characters. Jarrah is an elusive ninja-like character, obviously, all about evading. He is able to dash with and form a smoke screen to sort of disappear. and he can also warp and disappear with his guard up. So he's really all about getting out the way and trying to bait opponents into punching thin air and, sort of moving with a whole lot of speed. It's interesting how, and I don't know if this is all of sort of the quirks and perks of each character, but it's interesting how, like, okay, Springman, he's got the dash with the shockwave, and then he has the low health infinite charge attacks. And then Ribbon Girl has the jump in midair and the quick drop. Ninjara, they talk about the smoke screen and the warp, but nothing else. And I wonder if there's more to him or if that's the full extent of his abilities.
Jake, Ninjara kind of reminds me of you for some reason.
He does look like Jake.
Why? I don't have like goggles or green hair or
but
chains.
you got that paintbrush hairstyle.
Yeah, honestly, that's kind of probably what it is. When we play basketball, that's exactly how you wear your hair.
All right.
I'm
fine with
Ninjara.
being a cool ninja character.
I think it's funny that they allowed these characters all of like 1 second of audio. So like Ribbon just says Ribbon! Yeah. And then Ninjara's just like, yup, and that's it. That's it. That's all they got.
Guys, I can exclusively reveal that I did the voice for Ninjara here.
Yeah, that would be amazing. That's all you got to do. Imagine coming into the booth and being like, okay, you're Ninjara. Give us 7 different iterations of yeah.
Just keep on grunting.
Master Mummy is the first of the heavies, and they say nothing phases him, which I take to mean no flinching. He's able to move through the battlefield without any taking any sort of effect from anyone else's actions. Interestingly, he restores health with guard, which seems like this was the one where I was like, is this going to be overpowered? He doesn't flinch, and he restores health?
But no, it won't be overpowered because when guarding, you can easily be grabbed right away. So
that's true.
So
Okay.
any experienced player is going to see, okay, Mummy is guarding. That means he's regaining health. So I'm instantly going to go in for the grab and put an end to that. So I think you can.
Very good point.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Very good point. And Mechanika, I think this is where we start to see some of like the class differentiation coming in, is also a heavy and also has sort of this no stun policy where she's not going to get, she's not going to flinch, or at least they say that she isn't likely to get stunned. Yeah. So maybe she's a little bit less of a heavy than Master Mummy, but she can also hover in midair, which again has defensive and offensive advantages. Yeah. So she is able to hover. She has less likelihood of being stunned, and she still packs a whole lot of punch based on her heavy weight.
She kind of seems like a mixture of like Mummy and one of the lighter characters, because it doesn't seem like she's as heavy, but she's not like as light. She's not like super quick or anything, but the ability to hover and probably be able to be evasive in that way kind of makes it like she's a mixture of both.
Well, and her grab like throws people up in the air, and they were talking about that. So like a lot of like juggling and trying to keep people in the air as much as possible. Kind of more of like almost like a technique character, whereas the other ones
that's a good point.
Have more of basic. Like I think Ninjaro to some extent is too also like more of a technique character in terms of like when to use the disappearing and stuff like that. At least that's what I got from like watching people kind of play a little bit at PAX. Was just like that. Ribbon Girl, Springman, and Master Mummy were kind of more basic. Like they have special abilities for sure, but just more like whatever and basic. And then the Ninjaro and Mechanika kind of like more like in a technique skilled kind of category.
That's a good point.
Go ahead.
I am curious to see, when we do get more characters, are there going to be, a set group of all around, a set group of tech, a set group of heavy? I think we will get them, and I think they'll have similar skills. Am I the only one that gets such a strong Tron Bond vibe from Mechanika?
Tron, like the movie Tron?
No. Tron Bond, who is
Mega
Man character.
Yeah, especially now that you mentioned it, for sure. Yes.
It makes me think of that Mega Man N64 game.
Yeah.
Mega Man 64,
It's Mega Man Legends, wasn't it? No, that was on PlayStation.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
But, Tron Bond, Mechanika, I think they have to have some sort of shared blood.
Before we move on to the weapons, though, I wanted to ask you guys, now that we have a little bit more knowledge about these characters, like specifically, which one do you think that you want to try to master first?
Well, I have to do Ninjaro because he looks like me, right? That's it. That just has to happen.
So yeah, you're just gonna be a ninja. You're gonna be using your smoke screens, and
I am very curious though. Like these 5 characters all seem pretty dang different. Like there's not a lot of overlap. So if they do release more characters, how many? And like, is there gonna be overlap? Like, is there gonna be like a quick person who can double jump in the air, but she, I don't know, like doesn't get stunned, or I don't know, just some like if they're gonna be combinations of these powers, or if they're gonna continue to come out with brand new, like completely different characters. I think it would be interesting to
I'm
see.
surprised they haven't announced more yet. I guess it's nice that they're withholding. I mean, there are more, right?
That's the other thing. Do we keep talking about more characters? We don't know that there's more. We have to assume that there is, but yeah,
or at least like DLC later on, maybe not right at release, but I can't imagine that it's only 5 characters.
Yeah,
but maybe.
But the character,
no, there's got to be more. I'm gonna say there's got to be.
The character that I want to try to master is Ribbon Girl. I like the ability to multi jump in the air and be able to get in close when needed and things of that nature. Plus, I think she has like a very cool character design. So I think Ribbon Girl is gonna be my gal.
I feel bad saying it because he's the sort of the basic all around, but I really like the repelling shockwave that Springman leaves after his dash, and I like the fact that he gets infinite charges or unlimited charges at low health, and you'll see why. Let's go into some of the weapons. This video really dug into what happens when you charge up the weapons. So they start off with the toaster. You charge them up to catch fire and light your opponent on fire, dealing extra damage. Having the ability to do these charge attacks at low health kind of infinitely is really sounding like an important advantage.
It is, but it also isn't, because like at least from when I played, like when you're on that very little amount of health, like you can go down within a couple punches, so it's not like you have a ton of time to use them all.
I mean, sure. They do call him the comeback kid, as the announcer.
Yes.
Yeah. No, the comeback kid.
Yeah, Jake, I really, I think that you should dress up as Ninjara and be the spokesperson for ARMS.
Okay.
Do it.
Kick the guy out of his job.
The Megaton are the weapons of choice for Master Mummy, and they are big and slow. And when you charge them up, they grow in size and are able to sort of knock away enemy punches, which is a cool
That's
little
what makes
tweak.
me think that Master Mummy like can be like the most frustrating character to play against. He can regain health. He doesn't flinch. His fists can get so big that they just block everything else out of the way. Like how? I mean, I understand he's a bigger target and he's slow, so if you're quick and can move around, and I guess that's like where like things like later on when we talk about like the Boomerang and stuff, it comes in handy. But yeah, at first glance, he seems like he's just like a giant tank that you can't get through.
Some of the more straightforward weapons seem to have distinct advantages, because as we do get later on, they are able to counter, and let's go to that right now. The Boomerang, for example, has a big arc, but this is a little bit more of a tricky weapon to really connect on, and you can charge it to knock back your opponent. So perhaps it's the fact that a lot of the more finesse weapons have better charge abilities, it seems like, and can sort of disrupt the opponent more easily. Perhaps that's the advantage. But yeah, the Megaton and Master Mummy seem to be like the early favorite to just pummel and punish any competitor. So the Boomerang, again, big arc, charge it up to knock back your opponent. Sparky is a weapon that can charge up with electricity and then stun the opponent. So it doesn't seem to be doing extra damage, even though it's an elemental attack. This one is all about stunning the opponent and allowing you to perform a quick combo.
Yeah, and they show it with Ninjaro to use the stun and then use his grab, so kind of like that sort of.
Yeah,
I mean, it goes without saying almost, but it's great that you
Jarrah,
can, like,
sorry.
Yeah, well, that's the second time you do this during the video. I was going to point it out, but it's cool that you can like mix up these different weapons or whatever you want. Weapons with like the attributes of like those certain characters. Like you can have, a big heavy weapon with Ribbon Girl still probably, right? Like and be able to have.
They
like
each have, at least in the demo, they each had 3 options each, so you couldn't put the Megaton on Ribbon Girl.
Yeah, there were some limitations, and again, this is what contributes to my theory that there are weight classes, because some could not be mixed, but I think it does really highlight the different levels of complexity that the game can possess, because you can just jump in with Springman default weapons and fight Ribbon Girl default weapons, but once you start incorporating some of their techniques, once you start incorporating the weapon charges, and then think about, adding 2 different weapons, each with their own charge, and now all of a sudden you have a very versatile character that can attack and counter and really affect the battle in multiple ways. Speaking of multiples, the Revolver is a weapon that fires 3 shots with 1 punch. You can charge it to stun your opponent, but
they're easy to knock away.
Yeah, because they're firing 3 little projectiles, they're easy to sort of knock away.
It
And
honestly reminds me of a Nerf gun. It looks
it
like
does.
a Nerf gun.
And I think there's also a sort of a rock paper scissors element. It seems like to some of the weapons, in terms of how do you decide what's deflected, or maybe it is the revolver is deflected anytime it comes into contact with another weapon.
I'm not sure, but I'm loathing you getting to the next weapon. Well, I
Oh
think
god, this is my favorite one in the game.
Literally it gives me like the heebie-jeebies and I hate it.
The Slapamander.
Yeah, it honestly affects my like emotional state.
The Slapamander basically is
It looks
a
like
weapon.
a freaking leech thing. It's
No. It reminds me of a oven mitt that has been imbued with an amphibian.
It's so gross.
I love it. So the Slapamander has a wide arc whip. It's got a little bit of shake and bake in it, and then it can also charge up to catch fire and obviously boost your attack power. So it's a wide sort of. This is one of the weapons that you're going to really be kind of channeling in with sort of your directed attacks, and then you can also light people on fire.
I
and it gives Jake the creeps.
I will never ever use that weapon. Ever.
So basically, to beat Jake, and possibly also Ninjara, since they may be the same person, use the Slapamander.
It's honestly, I hate it.
That is by far my favorite weapon of this announced group. What is you guys' or what is your favorite weapon?
I like the Megaton, but I think the Boomerang is really cool. How you can like get around objects, and I think it takes a lot of skill and practice, but I think it could be very cool. Like, and just kind of throw in a whole nother element too, because obviously you can direct your punches no matter what, but like how much of an arc you can put on that Boomerang is pretty impressive. Like, I think it'll create for some really interesting gameplay elements.
Yes. Gabriel, favorite weapon?
I think my favorite weapon's gonna have to be Sparky, just because the ability to stun enemies and then maybe going for the grab after the hit sounds like could be a pretty good tactic. So probably that.
I think also you're just like a very electric man.
I am very, very electric.
You have those electric dance moves, and you would be a great arms fighter.
I think so.
We now know more about the lineup. We now know more about the weapons, and I think we're waiting to find out what else is there. We've heard from the game director that there are going to be different modes, that there will be some sort of one-player, single-player content, that there will be online, that it does focus on sort of what they've shown, the arena combat, but there are iterations of that, and now we just need to know what that stuff is. And I'm wondering if we're going to get a direct to kind of highlight it, or if the game's just going to be announced in more trailers of this sort. It seems like Nintendo is really taking this kind of just uploading info approach. They did it with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe recently. We got an overview of that, kind of highlighting some of the new stuff, and I'm assuming we'll do the same with ARMS. You guys want to make any predictions about release date, or about if we get a direct, or any future updates?
I don't know that we get our ARMS direct, but I think you're probably right with the May.
Do you think? I think there might be another trailer and like talking about game modes or something, or new characters or something. I don't think there's gonna be a direct. I think they'll just release more trailers.
Yeah, that's what that's what I think.
I do think it's exciting now that we have the Switch in hand, and we've played a bunch of games. I think it's easier to see that ARMS will be a really cool title. We were at times really high and at times a little more nervous, but I think now playing the Switch, I'm really looking forward to having a fighting game on here. And I know there are some of the Neo Geo things, and I know that we're getting Pocket Rumble probably before ARMS, but it will be really cool to have like a 1v1 fighter with the Nintendo charm and with all of this new intricacy that we're seeing in the characters and in the weapons. I think it's going to be a really enjoyable title and a really good addition to the Switch's early library.
For sure.
I'm excited to play it. And I'm excited to play it, try out the non-motion control mode so you can play it on the go more.
And coming this PAX Prime, Jake's first cosplay, Ninjara.
Yes.
Let us know your favorite character, your favorite weapons in the comments down below, your thoughts on ARMS, if you're pumped for its release, when you think it may hit, and any other thoughts you have on the trailers and or on our discussion. Until that time, though, thanks so much for watching. We are definitely pumped for ARMS, so make sure to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell to stay up to date on the latest and greatest from Switch, from ARMS, and from us here at Switch Force. For myself, Jake, and Gabe, until next time, everybody, thanks again. Switch Force out.